Welcome to the sports podcast, All in the Game, hosted by Rob Gehrig and Alex Porter. If you have a profound love for all things sports, then this is the court for you. Please enjoy your time here, and thank you for listening.
All right, so we have a fun episode 6 planned for you. We're going to be drafting just the two of us this time, and we're going to be drafting if there's a Game 7 of the World Series tomorrow from 2000 on. What would your team be? We're going to go position by position. You want to talk about the format?
Yeah, we're going to keep it pretty light. We figured we'd like to have an episode just a little more just straight up us arguing, giving our opinions on it. We thought been a little basketball heavy, so let's go a little baseball. Everybody loves. In my opinion, there's nothing better in sports than a Game 7 of a World Series.
Playoff baseball is as good as it gets.
Yeah, just every single pitch matters so much. And so we're gonna start. We're saying you can't pick Babe Ruth or Willie Mays. We'll say from the Jeter Yankees time on.
Yeah, so the late 90s, early 2000s Yankees on. About the last time the Yankees were somewhat relevant, so I guess we'll throw them a bone here.
Also, we want to say, for this thing that we're doing, it's not just, I'll just say, Trout's not going to get picked. Is Trout the best baseball player alive? Yes, obviously, but we're looking for guys who, we can reference some of their big game experience, and he just doesn't have any. Not his fault, just saying.
Correct. All right, so we are going to pick three outfielders, one person for each infield position, one starting pitchers, and two relief pitchers, and then we're going to also pick a DH because the DH just one more guy to argue about and have a little bit of fun with it.
And we'll concentrate on defense. Obviously, that's going to be part of it, but also you've got to. We're not going. It doesn't have to be a strict left fielder has to play left field. We'll get a little loose and fun with it.
Yeah, so. The way we're going to do it is we're going to do a live rock, paper, scissors shoot to see who gets the first pick. And whoever has the first pick is going to pick the position that they'll take the first pick with, and then we'll alternate from there. So we're going to get started with a little rock, paper, scissors to see who gets the first pick. So just a reminder, the person who has the first pick is going to pick the first position that's chosen, and then we'll take the first pick from there.
Just classic radio like you read about.
Best 2 out of 3.
That's a Bob win there with a paper over
covers rock.
That's a Porter win there with a rock beats scissors.
Wow.
All down to this, ladies and gentlemen. Porter with the comeback of the century with a little scissors cutting paper.
Never wanted a first pick less.
I think that's actually the most ridiculous thing to claim because the only pick that matters in order here, in my opinion, is the first pick. Because for the first pick position, I will go for the most important in a winner-take-all baseball game, which is the horse on the mound, the starter. And in this particular one, there's obviously a lot of good candidates you could go with, but there's one correct answer. And this correct answer would stay if we were talking about recently, like we are in this discussion, or the history of baseball. The answer is Mad Bum, Madison Bumgarner. There's, anyone that's watched baseball, I don't need to tell you about how many great big games he has had. Just carried the Giants to that last World Series, was just completely dominant. I don't see how there's anybody else that you would want to have the ball in his hands in a big game.
Yeah, that's definitely the guy that was at the top of my list. So if you were looking for some fireworks with this first pick, there won't be any. There's a couple other guys we could pick here. And I am going to go with somebody that's near and dear to my heart. We had this discussion about best playoff performances, and the Red Sox, obviously, pretty amazing World Series win in 2007, and we all know that does not happen unless the great Josh Beckett is on the mound.
Yeah, great call. Guy's a stud. Did it with the Red Sox and with the Marlins.
Yeah, and traded Hanley Ramirez for him. Was that 2005-ish, I believe, 2005, 2006, and then. Honestly, just when the team was down and out, he just lifted them from the grave. So he's definitely our starting pitcher. So now I choose the next position, correct?
Yeah.
We are going to go with the designated hitter. I bet you the listeners did not think I would go here next, but there's just one guy who I'm sure you all know who I'm going to take, and he's just a guy that we can't live without. I see he's already writing his name down before I even say it, and he is correct. David Ortiz, the greatest clutch hitter of all time.
That's weird. I wrote down fat loser.
Definitely not a loser. Definitely not skinny, though, so I'll give you that one.
Okay, so Ortiz, yeah, that's fine. Saw
that.
that
What did he hit in 2013? What was he, like 640 in the World Series? It's kind of hard not to take that guy.
I'm going to go...
Good base running that series, too.
Base running.
He gets it done when he needs to.
I'm going to go with... I wasn't expecting, just like the listeners, I was not expecting him to go DH here. So I'm going to go with... I'm going to keep it as like a classic DH, not just use a guy and put him at the DH. I'm going to go with old Nelson Cruz. I love him. He just keeps doing it every year at a high rate. He's been in a lot of playoff series. He's as big of a bat as it gets. Guy's just ageless.
He is. And a good thing he's at the DH because he definitely cost the Rangers a World Series there with this defense in right field.
I just have a question about this. Are juicers on the table?
We don't care about steroids.
Absolutely. Yeah. The best baseball player of all time is Barry Bonds.
Yeah, and the second best is Alex Rodriguez. So come see me.
Steroid users, the steroid guys are all welcome here.
So now you get to pick the next position.
All right, so being that we're speaking of them, I'll go outfield. I guess left field if you want to be more specific. I'm going to go the best baseball player of all time, Barry Bonds.
Yeah, there's no argument there. I know the steroid thing was brought up. Clearly a huge steroids guy, Barry Bonds was, but I mean, there's no doubting the absolute ridiculous resume and the insane.
Yeah, it was also a Hall of Famer before any of the steroids.
Yeah, stuff. And I don't really love when people say that because who cares? But I mean, the guy was just people act like the steroids made him great, but they just took him to another level. So while I love Bonds, he actually wasn't even on my list. We're gonna go with one of the better pure hitters of all time. Great playoff resume. Has a World Series MVP under his belt. Manny Ramirez. And no, I'm not just taking all Red Sox.
Sounds like you're just taking all Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely how it's gone the first 3 rounds, but I will give you, obviously, Manny and Ortiz are big-time hitters, and Beckett's a big-time pitcher. Manny, I love. Another guy, steroid user, obviously, but just one of the best hitters I've ever seen.
One of the coolest contracts ever in, I think it was Japan. He signed a contract where one part of his contract was that he would get free unlimited sushi whenever he wanted it.
Yeah,
so
the guy's just great.
He was out there for sure. So if I can venture off away from the Red Sox, I'm gonna take a trip down third base, and I'm gonna take somebody that's gonna rip the heart out of your chest, Pablo Sandoval.
Wow. He goes Pablo.
I mean, that guy's while he's the classic line at the lake house, and I know Roy Colicchio out there will know this line was that. Oh no, we were talking about Angel Pagan being a legend, but little off topic. But Pablo Sandoval, just actual playoff legend. When the lights were on, that's when he was ready to play.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Mad Bum winning the MVP, the World Series MVP, it would have been Pablo. Pablo had a ridiculous year. It was just a ridiculous series. It was just that Mad Bum won it because...
Yeah, my biggest concern with my team right now is we have a lot of really overweight guys. And we know that, and we just know that they come to play when it.
Yeah, luckily it's not a 162. It's it's one game.
It's also not a physique competition. It's just a baseball game.
Definitely didn't see Pablo coming. Definitely respect it. Third base. Who am I gonna go here at third base? I'm gonna go a little thrower back more to when we were a little bit younger. I'm gonna go Chipper. Maybe the best switch hitter of all time, or at least of our time.
Definitely the best switch hitter of all time.
Chipper was in a bunch of those Braves teams. Were in a ton of big games. I like him on the commentary on TV now. I like Chipper.
Yeah, I do too. He was on my list too. Obviously, Chipper better actual player than Pablo. Only reason I took Pablo is because of his insane playoff resume.
But that's part of it. That's going to continue to come up throughout this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Chipper definitely a better player, but I'll take Pablo when it comes to playoffs.
I'm going to go to shortstop now. and I think this might be one that kind of surprises some people, but I guarantee you if you Google him and look up what he's done in the playoffs, it'll make a lot more sense, and that's going to be Edgar Renteria.
Wow.
He has multiple rings. He has two of the bigger hits, two of the top 20 hits in the history of baseball as far as clutchness. Very good player, even not counting World Series and big games, but he's just had some of the bigger games in the history of since the 2000s. He's had some of the bigger games at shortstop.
So this is a wild pick. Wasn't expecting that. Did have a brief stint on the Red Sox too, by the way. But I went a different direction here. I went putting the premium on defense, knowing that it's going to be a very important game, very tight game. Not based on off anything this guy did offensively. Just honestly my favorite or second favorite player of all time. We're going to go with Lindor, just because, in my opinion, is the best or second best shortstop of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Lindor is obviously terrific, and he's had great playoffs. I mean, they were a couple outs away from winning that World Series against the Cubs.
His playoff resume doesn't stand out like some of these other guys, but we're putting a premium on defense at this position, and he's somebody that we trust.
I also think that, like you brought up Pablo earlier, and then we're a little more shocked in my Renteria. Renteria is a two-time World Series champion in 97 and 2010, huge gap, and he's the World Series MVP in 2010.
I wasn't saying it was a bad pick. I was actually just impressed and surprised you went there.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's, the guy was just such a... He had, in 2010, being named the World Series MVP, he had a game-winning home runs in games 2 and 5 of that series. He's the
insane.
Fourth player to have multiple World Series winning hits, along with Yogi Berra, Joe DiMaggio, and Lou Gehrig.
That's pretty insane resume. Can't really argue that. I guess you can say maybe you take the cake with the shortstop.
No, I mean, you definitely get the talent. Lindor,
Lindor,
everybody will watch. And I know that Lindor's your guy. You've definitely gotten your guys early here.
We're not looking for the best players. We're looking for the right ones.
Yeah.
Who also might be the best ones.
Your pick.
My pick. Okay, I am going to go with one of the all-time clutch performers at first base. I'm going to go with David Freese. What this guy did for the Cardinals is just... I mean, the game was over. They lost, and then he hit the double. Then in the same game, hits the home run, and then does the same thing a night later. I mean, the guy's playoff resume, you can't even speak enough about it. What he did for that team that year. Yeah, no, he even when he was an old man had some big playoff games or some big playoff spots for the Dodgers and stuff. He just that series was just incredible. Yeah, not even really a good player. Just he turned into an all-world player when the playoffs. Those Cardinals had a couple guys during those years that I thought were going to just become absolute superstars, and it was like after they won, they completely fell off the face of the earth. Yeah, it was like, oh, they're on the Cardinals and it's the World Series. Like, who was that? Who was that outfielder that ended up, or either outfielder or first baseman, that ended up going to the Red Sox and like couldn't even get out of the minors? What was? And like name? For like a year and a half stretch, he was like the best RBI guy in baseball. It was oh my God, he couldn't get healthy with the Red Sox. What was his name? He was the guy when remember the Middlebrooks play in the World Series where Middlebrooks tripped over him. Yes, he was the guy that was running home and he hurt his foot and he just basically never recovered. I'm gonna look that up. He was great, but they had Freeze and they had Carlos Martinez. Rosenthal was the closer, right? It looked like he was gonna be unhittable. Threw 106. Waka was young, looked like he was gonna be awesome. Alan Craig. Alan Craig. That was it. Yes. Alan Craig had a couple years where he was just a stud. Yeah. For the record, I got there before I Googled it. So all right. So I like that David Freese pick. He's definitely clutch. Fits this criteria well. I'm gonna go with the guy who's got a ring. And he's also one of the best hitters to ever live. I'm going to go Miggy. He was playing in big games when he was a baby in 2003 when he won the World Series with the Marlins. Obviously he's just one of the best hitters ever. He is slowing down a little bit now, but that stretch he had, just incredible, and he's got the World Series, so I'll put him there. Yeah, I love Miggy. He's always been one of my favorites. I still remember Buck Showalter used to make the Orioles watch him take batting practice and just marvel at how great of a hitter he was, and he was just saying you're not going to see something like this again, so just enjoy it while it's here. Yeah. Weird Buck Showalter move, but this is
like for me, it was either Miggy or Pujols, and I think that's like a classic argument that everybody has because for people our age, they've been probably the two most consistent best hitters.
Who do you take?
Well, I think that
not in this situation. Correct.
No, I think my personal thing. I mean, Pujols, if you actually look at the numbers, is probably better. But like, I always just liked Miggy more. I think that's why I took Miggy here.
Pujols' peak was definitely longer and better. I'm a Miggy guy too, though, personally.
Yeah. All right. So now this is my position.
Yeah, your turn.
I'm gonna go reliever here, closer in particular. I'm gonna go another guy who's just got a long history of doing it in the big games. He also did it in the regular season, Hall of Famer. Really good on the broadcast. I'm gonna go with John Smoltz.
Good, because that's not who I was going to take. I don't think there's a shot you would take my reliever. Do you want to just pick all the relievers now?
Sure. You'll go one, then I'll go my next one.
I'm going to go with Koji Uehara. He was the reliever for the Red Sox in 2013.
I mean, what a loser.
Really?
Just picking random guys on the Red Sox who had one good series. He's picking Koji.
Well, yeah, we're taking Koji.
He was terrific. He was absolutely lights out. I'll give you that.
He set the record for most saves in a postseason.
No, he was ridiculous.
He was outstanding.
His stint as being good was about as short as...
Yes, that's not the argument. The argument was
that's
at the time, at the peak of their powers, who do you want?
It's true. He was great that year.
Yeah, and give me this guy. No, he did not have a great career, but he had a really good couple seasons with them, and he had an absolutely ridiculous postseason for the Red Sox that year. So your second reliever.
Why doesn't he go first for this one? Because
he's not going to take my guy anyway. I don't really care.
Okay. So, I mean, my second reliever, I'll go the best reliever in the history of baseball. I'll go Mariano.
No interest. I'm going to go with... I'm torn between two guys.
Bob's answers have nothing to do with his love for the Red Sox, dedication for the Yankees. He has no interest in the greatest closer of all time, but yet he was quick to jump on the Hoji Yorikawa.
Yes, Koji definitely had a better World Series than Mariano ever had in a series, but not important. So I want to take us back to, and I know my Mets fans are going to hate me, in 2015.
Nick's going to hate you.
The Royals kind of created this seventh, eighth inning guys, the setup guys. And the reason they were able to do that is because they just had three guys that were trustworthy, probably should have been closers, but just happened to be on a team with two other guys that threw 100 and were also should have been closers. So we're going to go with Kelvin Herrera. He was my favorite of that three with Wade Davis and Kelvin Herrera and Greg Holland.
I was a Holland guy.
Were you? I always liked Herrera. He was my favorite.
They were so reliable for them for that 2-year stretch. They were just lights out.
Yeah, they were just completely. The second the Royals had a lead in the seventh inning, the game was over because you just handed the ball to these guys.
Yeah, for basically 2 straight postseasons in their back-to-back, and they only won one of them, but they went to 2 straight.
Yeah, and then Pablo stole the other one right from him.
Yeah, him and Matt Bum.
Yeah. So,
and let's not forget Hunter Pence. Pence had a huge series also.
He did. But yeah, so the credit to the Royals for kind of inventing the way the bullpens are used now, and this guy was a big part of it.
All right. So that's the relievers. I mean, that's clearly a win for me. But we'll move on to the next position. What do you want?
We have 3 positions left. We have second base and we have 2 outfield spots.
Oh, we got catcher too.
And catcher.
Don't forget about old catcher.
My bad.
You were a catcher at one point too, and we were very young.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know the reason why, because you're the smallest guy, but you were the catcher.
Just to throw guys out left and right. He was the best catcher of all time.
Throw guys out left and right. You weren't allowed to steal yet. We're talking 8-year-olds.
We were allowed to steal home, but we were allowed to steal. I mean, that's not. Yeah,
we're talking 8-year-old. He was back there because he was the only one who didn't mind putting on the heavy gear in 100-degree weather.
I definitely minded it. I was very happy when I didn't have to do that for the rest of my life. But moving on, don't want to get too off track.
Yeah, now we're just messing with him. We are in his head now. Bring up his old catching days, and the guy can't even think.
I'm debating on going outfielder because I don't know if he'll take.
He's going to end up picking Jackie Bradley Jr. here.
I would love to take Jackie Bradley Jr. He's the best defensive outfielder in the game. I'm going to go outfielder, and we're going to go with just a guy that is as clutch as it gets. There's definitely a lot of skepticism around this guy nowadays because of his involvement with a possible cheating scandal that was definitely a cheating scandal. And there should be a lot of skepticism around him. But George Springer just completely electric in the World Series.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that as much as it pains me to say it. That's gonna go as my favorite pick yet. He was definitely my guy that I was gonna go for outfield. He's
the skepticism around him is totally legit, but he's also just electric.
Yeah, I mean he's just incredible. That series against the Dodgers, it was just like every single time he came up, he had a home run to dead center.
Yeah, that one game was the best game I think I've ever seen, and it wasn't because it was terrible pitching. I guess.
And he even did it this past year
Yeah.
after this guy. Like he's just he
awesome.
goes down as one of the better postseason hitters I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I definitely really like that.
So
pick.
then I'll say that was the right choice by me going with that position.
Yeah, no, I definitely like that pick. I love him. You know, I don't really care about the cheating thing, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't like the cheating thing.
Well,
but-
yeah, I'm not promoting it or saying that it's awesome, but I also don't think it impacts Springer as being one of the best postseason hitters I've ever seen. I got one more outfielder that I know you're not gonna pick, so I'm gonna hold on to him. And
I might pick him.
no, I don't think you will.
Current guy or
No.
Okay, then I
no,
won't.
not current guy.
the two I have on my list are current guys. So
Okay, so I only... Yeah, I'm not going to go that now. I'm going to go here, one of my all-time favorite players, Vlad Guerrero.
Junior or
No, God, no. I've had Junior on my last place fantasy team for 3 years now.
wait, let's pause that because you took him the year before he came up, had to hang on to him, had to lose a pretty decent draft pick to keep him the following year, and then he was really bad. And then you kept him again last year, right? And you
Yeah.
give up a third round pick?
No, it was a little later than that, but yes,
Fifth?
wasn't a good move.
Yeah.
But besides the point, his father is a legend. I was lucky enough to be at a Trenton Thunder game when I was very little, and they were playing against Vlad. I think probably the only year he played in the minors. And I remember that game, my dad being like, just remember watching this guy play. It was so obvious from the beginning that he was going to be an all-timer, and he just is. And also, for anybody who's a little bit younger than us and thinks of Vlad as like the out-of-shape guy, no, that was not him. He at one point could do everything.
Yeah, he was a free swinger, swung at absolutely everything, but it didn't matter because, nobody had better hand-eye coordination than him, and he was just as good of a hitter as it gets. Had arguably one of the best arms of all time.
Yeah, just look up the video of him throwing a guy out at third from the corner of right field.
From the snack stand in right field.
Yeah, just an incredible player. My next outfield, this was the one I was holding on to, and I think it might surprise you a little bit, but when I think of like playoff baseball, a lot of and you can tell kind of by the list here, even though I grew up a Yankees fan, but my list has now quite a few Braves players because those teams are just always in it. And this one was always my favorite of the Braves players, one of my favorite players ever. I'm going to go Andrew Jones. Arguably the best defensive center fielder ever, I would say. When he was young, he was going to win the Gold Glove every single year.
Yeah.
He was playing when he was like 19, I think. He was playing center field for those Braves teams in the World Series.
Yeah, that's a nice, interesting pick. I'm not afraid of Andrew Jones in this game. He's not really doing it for me. I know he's great defensively. I'm going to take a guy that's better defensively. And
well, that's not true.
Yes, I am. I'm going to take a guy that's better defensively, and I'm going to take a guy that's a better hitter and just an all-around better player. And he has 2 rings. We're going to go with Mookie Betts.
Okay. Mookie Betts is a better all-around player. I still won't say he's better defensively. Andrew Jones is a 10-time from 1998 to 2007. He won the Gold Glove every single year.
No, that's amazing.
In center field.
That's amazing.
And he also led the league in homer. Like, I feel like people kind of hate on him a little bit, but I don't
think anybody hates on him.
Because, like, those years when he was young in playoffs, he was just incredible in the field, and that's something that we want for this. We want to have complete confidence that anything that's hit out there, he will run it down.
Yeah, Betts has 5 Gold Gloves, so it's like, he's going to play for how many more years? He just signed a 10-year contract, so he'll probably have more.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just saying, Jones' eye test tells you And
Eye test tells you that Betts is probably better.
no, eye test tells you Jones is the best to do it.
Highly, highly disagree.
The best to ever do it in center. Let's move on, though, because this isn't going to get settled, clearly.
I mean, the guy's just better at baseball.
He's better at baseball, but that's not the
and
thing.
He's better defensively,
He's
too.
not better defensively.
And he's got 2 rings.
He's not better defensively.
He does everything in baseball better than Andrew Jones ever did.
Besides play center field defensively.
I mean, Mookie's more of a right field guy.
Either way, just Andrew Jones could have
field,
played right, left, center, anything.
I suppose we'll agree to disagree. Betts is clearly better, so then I get to pick second base, right? Or catcher?
Or catcher.
All right, I'm going to just solidify great Red Sox players, and we need a little bit of attitude on this team. We need a guy that's ready to run through a wall, no matter what the wall is made of, for this team. Just recently retired. Great postseason resume. Few rings under his belt. 3, if I'm not mistaken. And then a guy that I was at one point in my life said to be better than by somebody, Nick Pace Sr. I appreciate the high praise, but there is a 0% chance that I would ever be a 15th of the player that Pedroia could have ever been.
Yeah, I mean, all-time comment. Definitely a great player. I knew he was going to be your pick. Definitely one of your favorites, and well-deserved. He had great playoff runs, just terrific career.
No way his body was ever going to hold up the way he played.
Yeah, I think don't forget he was like legit the MVP.
He was Rookie of the Year, MVP.
I think his MVP year, I saw that he had more doubles than strikeouts.
Yeah, he had when his body was right and he was young. There weren't. Like, the Cano-Pedroia argument early on was a joke because he was just so much better, and then his body broke down.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little biased as well. Cano's body work was incredible.
No. We're talking about steroids.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about steroids, so we mentioned that. So second base, that's going to be an interesting one for me. There's definitely a few guys that come to mind. Jeff Kent being one of them. I'm going to go, though... I'm gonna love to, I guess, keep this argument alive. If we're not talking steroids or anything, then I mean, Cano's just gonna be a great bat in our lineup, and when he was young, just an incredible fielder. I'm gonna go Robinson. I know the steroids happen, but still a just incredible hitter.
So here's my problem. With
I was
that
always
pick.
a big fan.
We were trading blows. I feel like until this pick, Cano just stinks.
I mean, that's just a crazy comment to make.
I mean,
if you're not going to say that he took steroids and those numbers don't mean anything because of steroids, then there's no way you can say he stinks.
We'll take the guy with the right attitude that's going to get it done in Game 7.
I mean, we'll take a guy who's willing to do anything to win, which was AKA take steroids.
I mean, yeah, anything except for dive on the floor for a ground ball.
He didn't have to. It was too smooth.
Smooth. He's another one. He's an overrated fielder.
Well, I think it was overrated a little bit because of how good he made it look.
Yeah, I guess so. Sorry, last position here. We're gonna go catcher, and I see you like just furiously Googling somebody.
I'm not Googling somebody because catcher is the easiest position for me to make. It's the correct answer.
Is it your pick?
It is my pick. You pick second base.
Okay, I did. You're right.
So catcher is Buster Posey. I mean, he's got all the accolades. He's just one of the best to ever do it. Defensively, offensively, clutch, can just do it all. He's a winner. He's got multiple rings. He's just incredible.
Yeah, he's another one. Rookie of the Year, MVP, World Series,
batting title. There's nothing he can't do.
Yeah, he's he was on my list, and honestly, I picked a backup just in case you got the first pick for catcher because I knew you'd take him. We're just gonna take another winner, another guy that we spoke about last week, Yachty.
Yeah, I mean that's a classic argument too. The two of them. That's an all-time. Who was the better one? Yeah,
so we like Yachty. We like Posey much more offensively. I'm sorry. Defensively, it's a lot closer. You can kind of go both ways with it. I know Yachty has a few more of the flashy highlights, but Posey, I mean, also just as good as it gets defensively. And with the catcher, I mean, the defense is at this point probably more important than the offense and how they manage the staff.
Yeah, and I just like Posey more.
I like them both a lot.
Yeah, no, they're both old timers. Two of the best catchers ever.
Yeah, they really are.
Especially modern age, they probably are the two best.
100%.
I've got an interesting idea I just came up with here. So now that we have both of our full teams, why don't we give ourselves a minute and we'll allow one change each, because we did do this quick and didn't have a lot of prep for it, so you can change one of your picks. Do you like that?
I do. I don't see myself changing anything, but
Okay.
I'm very comfortable with everybody I picked. I mean, I'm assuming you're just looking for a different second baseman. Yes, you could say yes.
Yeah. I am. Let's go to Maddie for a second here.
Yeah, Matt was also drafting along with us, so let's see what he's got going.
So I'm going to go for my first pitcher here. I'm going to go with Clayton Kershaw. Did you guys take him?
No,
you guys took him.
For a good reason we didn't take him.
Why didn't you take him?
Because
he's a pretty bad postseason resume.
Okay, fine. Catcher. Coming up, I have Jason Veritek.
No argument here. You know I love Jason Veritek.
Oh, my God. Let me get this back for 1 second. I do not know how I missed this guy. Obvious second base pick. This is going to be my one change. Screw Cano. And, I mean, I hate everything Philly, and I know some people are going to get mad at me. This guy's been a little dirty.
Yeah.
But Chase Utley's a winner.
Yeah.
I don't know how neither one of you guys picked that one.
Give me Chase Utley.
Well, because I
yes.
I was going to take him.
That's on me.
How
That's
are you
on
guys
me.
not taking Chase
I had to jump in there, Maddie. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know. I was like, what the hell are you guys not doing? He's one of the best in the game. Like, seriously. So, first baseman, I'm going to go with Albert Pujols because he's just an all-around, I think, great hitter. He's a great fielder. I think he's one of the good assets that you guys didn't pick up on. But second baseman, I was going to go Chase Utley. At one point I was.
Why don't you go Cano then?
No, I'm going to go Alfonso Soriano.
Like that.
I like that too.
Very entertaining player.
Yeah, he was.
Shortstop.
Really bad fielder.
What do you think I'm going to go with shortstop? I'm curious what you think I'm going to go with shortstop.
I'm drawing a blank a little bit. Orlando Cabrera.
Good choice. But I'm going to go Jimmy Rollins.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
Rollins was on my short list of shortstops.
I thought when you said Phillies, I thought you were going to slide him over to second. I mean,
No, we like Utley.
I want to know. Here's another one I was like a little bit surprised that nobody went with. Cabrera for third base.
Miguel
Cabrera. What happened to him?
He picked him for first base.
Well, I'm using him as first base.
You're using him at first base. Okay.
If you're using him at third base, that's a little bit of a concern defensively.
Then Did you? What did you take, Rob, for third base?
I took Pablo Sandoval.
I'll take David Wright.
Gladly, take him.
Okay. Now here's one I didn't think you guys would even think of. With fair reasoning, I don't think we were around for much of his career. Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, I mean, a big Griffey fan, obviously. The smooth swing, and he was a great defensive player. Had the great role in one of our favorite movies. What was that movie called?
Yeah.
Little Big
Little Big League. Yeah.
Good music.
Yeah.
When he's tracking that ball.
And when he's tracking that ball, he's running for about an hour and 45 minutes.
Hit a homer and you can marry her.
All right. Other outfielder. I think this is an outfielder. I'll be honest with you. Giancarlo Stanton.
He's somebody I will let you take 10 times out of 10.
Why?
Because he's a loser.
Why?
He can't stay healthy, and when he is healthy, he doesn't really perform that well.
Fine. I'm gonna take another outfielder I know that you hate.
Who?
I'll take Ichiro.
I like Ichiro. I have no issue with him.
You hated him when we were playing backyard baseball. That's all I remember.
I
You
didn't-
despised him for when you would pick like the worst players in the league in that game, and you would just throw Ichiro on the team. You'd be like, yeah, he's one of the worst players ever.
I think I had a little anger towards him in a video game one time, yes, but that doesn't mean I didn't like him as a player. I loved him as a player, and I liked his career. I hate that he was at the Yankees and did all that stuff with the Yankees, but overall, I loved him.
All right. What am I at? Relief pitcher now?
Yeah.
Our father might disown us. I'm going to take Mariano Rivera.
Taken.
Taken?
Port took him.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
never mind. I'm not going to do that.
I don't pass on the best bullpen pitcher of all time.
Okay,
Koji.
fine. Our father's going to re-own me. I'm going to take Jonathan Papelbon.
He might not. A little fun fact about our father. We went to Boston the year that the Red Sox got Papelbon, and he got a bumper sticker that said Papelbon Lights Out, and it was on our maroon minivan until the day he sold it.
Yeah, I mean, Papelbon, definitely a character.
Yeah, strange guy.
Reminds me of John Rocker on those old Braves teams.
Strange man.
And last one I have at DH. I'm going to take the legend, the greatest. Not really, probably. I'm going to take Frank Thomas.
Oh, the Big Hurt. That is a good one. Gotta love the Big Hurt. Just the biggest man ever.
Yeah, now he just does those weird testosterone commercials. But he was a tremendous
Some of the things,
baseball
though,
player.
the images from when he does the playoffs with, like, A-Rod Ortiz and the other guy, the images that A-Rod's like 6'4", probably.
A-Rod's a massive human being.
And Frank Thomas makes him look like you standing next to a 6'5" guy.
Yeah, our cousin is like friends with John Calipari and watched the World Series in John Calipari's booth and has a picture with Frank Thomas, and he just looks like he could eat him in like 2 bites.
Yeah, him and Jim Tomei, like biggest guys ever.
Yeah,
that I don't think were steroid users. Like, they weren't roid users. They were just massive human beings.
Sometimes genetics just helps.
So I just want to run down a couple of the ones that I think were the best picks here out of us.
Why don't we run through the whole team first?
Okay, all right. So I'll go first. My closers or relief pitchers, I've got Mariano and Smoltz. Obviously, can't do any better than both of them, whether it's regular season or big game. Starter, I've got Mad Bum. I think that's the most important pick of this whole draft. First base, I've got Miggy, all-timer, Hall of Famer, has a ring. Second base, I've got Utley, he's got a ring, bunch of clutch moments. Third base, I've got Chipper, another guy, Hall of Famer, a lot of really big-time playoff moments. Shortstop, Edgar Renteria, World Series MVP, multiple rings. Just, we said the clutch stats earlier, as good as he got in the clutch. Outfield, I go Bonds, Vlad, Andrew Jones. Can't say enough about Bonds or Vlad. And then Andrew Jones, we made that point. We're doing it for defense, so we feel safe. And then DH, we got Nelson Cruz. Man hits bombs, never ages. And catcher, we have, I think, probably the second best pick of this draft. Catcher is just, who would you rather have behind the dish than Buster?
No, good team. Really good team. I think we have a little disagreement on the outfield. Other than that, I really do love your team. Starting pitcher, we roll out Josh Beckett. The resume kind of speaks for itself. What he did in 2007, not many people have ever done. We go Koji because of what he did in 2013. When he touched the ball, the game was over no matter what. And then we go Herrera for revolutionizing the way that the bullpens are used these days. They're all based on what he did with the Royals to win them the World Series in 2015. Catcher, we go Yachty. We would have went Posey if we had the opportunity to, but we had the second pick there, so there's not much we can do. But we do love Yachty. He's a leader. He's just like a pitching coach behind the plate. So David Freese is our first baseman. Not many more clutch players than him is the definition of a clutch player. Took a team that was down and out and carried them to a Game 6 and then a Game 7 victory. Pedroia is our second baseman. As good as it gets defensively. Nobody works harder. Nobody plays harder. Just a guy you want on your team at all times. Third base, we go Pablo Sandoval. Just another guy, just like Freese, just playoff moment after playoff moment, carrying his team offensively to the World Series and then through the World Series. Just unbelievable playoff resume. Another guy that the Red Sox got, that bad contract, but would have loved to see him play a little bit more. Shortstop, we go Lindor. Not the insane playoff resume that some of these other guys have, but best defensive shortstop ever. One of the better offensive shortstops, switch hitter. As good as it gets, a guy we trust. We put the premium on defense in this game. Outfield, we go Manny, one of the best pure hitters of all time. Just best. Never chased anything. Hit one of that home run in was it Toronto?
Yeah, one of the craziest images ever.
Not really sure that was a real home run. Just one of the best hitters ever. We go Betts, a much better version of Andrew Jones, better hitter, better base runner, better fielder, just a guy that we want at all times on our team instead of Andrew Jones. And then George Springer. Yes, there's a little bit of controversy, but not many people are as clutch as this guy and have had as many big moments. Gotta love what he's done in the postseason for the Astros. And then last but not least, we got the big horse and David Ortiz. The guy's hit over 600 in a World Series before, and he's the definition of a guy that can dominate a series with only playing on one side of the ball.
So I'm making a switch to one of mine, my pitcher. I'm going to change it up and go for Randy Johnson. I'm going to go with best left-handed pitcher in the MLB ever.
The big unit.
Yeah, he was a great player.
I just one thing I found interesting about our teams, few different teams had multiple guys.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Red Sox they had 5 the most, but that's just because of bias. Like, I mean, you picked.
Well, I mean, it's also like and not to be like totally biased, like they won 4 World Series in this time frame.
No, that is
about,
true.
so.
That is true. Obviously, they're going to have a few, but
Yeah.
I mean, you do have all 5 of them. So that is a tad biased. And then the Giants have 3, which, there's a couple obvious ones there. Obviously, your Pablo pick kind of added them to 3. Actually, the Giants have 4. I apologize about that because Renteria also with the Giants.
Yeah.
And then the Marlins have 3, which most people wouldn't think of, but they do have 2 rings in this time.
Yeah.
And then the Braves have 3.
Yeah. Marlins, same amount of rings as the Yankees in this millennium. Pretty crazy to think about. But yeah.
Red Sox, same amount of rings as the Cubs for about 100 years up until the one recently.
Yeah, more of like a what have you done for me lately kind of guy. But that is interesting how we saw a lot of the players fall into basically majority 4 teams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you said, I mean, between the Giants and the Red Sox, that's a lot of the World Series games that have been played, and we've got some big stars here. So this was a fun little episode we just kind of put together last minute, and I think it went well.
Yeah, this was not as structured as usual, just having a little fun, introducing a couple of the baseball episodes that we'll be doing. We're going to get more into baseball as the season gets a little bit closer, but we've been talking a lot of basketball, and we wanted to mix in a little bit of baseball. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. Remember, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on every podcast platform there is. I didn't know there were more than 2, but we're on all of them.
If you're not already doing so, please remember, tell everyone you've ever met, anyone you come in contact with about All in the Game.
Yeah, so if you have a doctor's appointment, make sure you tell your doctor about it. So just tell everybody you've ever met or come in contact with about it. Spread the word, and thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this episode of All in the Game. If there's anything that we can do to make sure that you return for the next show, please let us know so we can improve. Thank you again for listening. See you next time.